With you because online we should have Chris Norman. Hi, Chris.
Hello, Tony. How are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us here on Central FM. You've had quite a checkered career, haven't you, from when it all started? I guess from an early age, was it?
Yes, I've been around for a few years now.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of good times, a lot of success, and some less good times. But I'm still going. I'm still touring. I'm still making albums and stuff. So it's good.
So, in the early days, did you kind of start like most musos do, stuck in the back of a transit van doing the clubs and stuff in the beginning?
Exactly that, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I started with Smokey. Three of us went to school together, so we formed a band at school. It's like a very similar story to a lot of people.
Oh, right.
And then we started off, as you say, playing around the local areas. I came from Bradford originally.
Yeah.
So we played around that areas and then gradually took on the rest of the country, and we were travelling around sleeping in the back of the van and just trying to build up our experience and reputation,
Yeah.
And eventually we had a couple of record contracts in the late 60s and then early 70s, and then started to have success in 75 when we signed to Rack Records.
Oh, right.
And then we had a load of success. We had about 18 hits all over the world.
Yeah.
And then I'd left and became a solo artist and started to have a solo career with some hit records, especially in Germany and Northern Europe.
Yeah. So they kind of love live acts over in Germany, especially, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I mean, I don't do they do an awful lot of oldies festivals, what they call oldies festivals.
Yeah.
I don't do those if I can help it, because I think once you get onto that, that's all you do, And
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough to still be making albums and still do my own tours and concert tours. So as long as I can do that, I don't do the oldies festivals particularly, because otherwise you don't get sort of moving forward anymore.
Sure. Do you still keep in touch with the guys? Because, I mean, we had Smokey performing here a couple of months ago, and I guess it must be kind of strange for them not having the guy that made the vocal famous, because Smokey was very famous for not just the harmonies, but your vocal in particular, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was part of it. But, I mean, the thing is, it must be strange anyway, because Smokey only have the bass player, really.
That's right.
Terry Utley was the original bass player who started with me and Alan Silson.
Right.
And then Pete Spencer later on. We were the four original Smokies, and Terry's the only one that's left in the band now anyway.
That's right, yeah.
So the rest of the group are all people who've joined in the
over
90s
the years,
or late 80s or something.
Yeah.
So it's kind of must be a bit strange. But I still talk to Terry occasionally on the phone, or I'll bump into him somewhere and we're friends. And the same with, I spoke to Alan Silson about 3 or 4 days ago. So,
right.
And Pete, me and Pete are very close. So we're still friends, but we've all sort of separated and gone our different ways.
Yeah, I think people always feel that things will go on forever, but things do change, don't they? And bands do split up, and people have different ideas about what they want to do. And I guess you had your ideas, and perhaps it wasn't the way Smokey was moving, or you had some plans to change your style, did you? I mean, how did it kind of break up?
Well, basically, I was already sort of pursuing a solo career. We kind of half split up in 82. And then I was doing some solo stuff, and I'd done a couple of records in England, Love is a Battlefield, which was a cover battle with Pat Benatar, if you remember.
Yeah, I do.
And another song. And then we came back together with Smokey to do a couple of tours. We went to Australia and did a couple, and then Germany. And before that, I just recorded a song called Midnight Lady, which was going to be on a TV movie in Northern Europe.
Uh-huh.
And during the time I was with Smokey, this record took off and became number one, and I was trying to split myself in two halves. One was doing the solo promotion, and still doing the Smokey thing.
Right.
And it became difficult for me because I wasn't hardly getting any chance to be home,
I see.
So I decided I had to choose which one I was going to do, and as I'd already sort of been going down the solo route anyway, I thought, well, that's the way I should go. So I left the band then and went solo, and then luckily, as I say, I've been able to carry on making records and touring ever since.
Yeah, sure.
But I still do, obviously, when I do concert tours and everything, I still do a lot of the Smokey songs, because people come along and they know that I was a singer, they expect to hear that.
Yeah.
It's nostalgia,
Sure.
So I mix the set when I do, like, a lot of Smokey stuff, but a lot of solo stuff as well.
Yeah, I think you do that with some of the earlier albums as well when you went solo, to include a few of the Smokey hits because people know you for that. But it does give you the opportunity for people to hear the stuff that you're doing now because, you do keep going, and I guess you probably help with production for other artists as well. But, I mean, there are songs that I noticed on the internet there that you're always coming up with new singles, aren't you?
Yeah, I do. I come up with new stuff, and actually, the last album I did, which was early last year, 2009, was a compilation because I figured it's been a long time now since I was recording, so I did a Chris Norman compilation album. It was called Chris Norman The Hits, Solo and Smokey Years. Yeah. And there was basically about 18 Smokey hits on there, on one CD, and on the other CD there was all the solo hits, which was about another 16.
Oh, right.
Plus I recorded 4 new songs, which I wrote with the producer. We wrote and produced 4 new songs.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing that I was doing. Now the next album is going to be probably next year sometime, at back into next year. So I'm always working on something new.
Yeah. Did you actually re-record all the songs again, or did you use backing that you'd kept on multi-track?
No, I re-recorded them because there was too much trouble trying to get the licenses and everything from the record company that had the originals.
Yeah.
So I re-recorded them, but I was very painstaking in trying to make sure, because a lot of people said, are you going to do them differently? And I thought, well, if people want to buy like a history, they want to hear it as it was.
That's right.
I took a lot of pains to make sure it sounded as almost exactly like the originals. And it's because I was the singer, that was the easy part. And
that's right.
The difficult part was to get all the acoustics and the guitars and all the things sounding the same, but it was not so bad because I was there and recorded and played on the original records, so I knew exactly how to go about getting the same sound.
Yeah, well, I guess from as much as you could remember from that.
And I could remember it pretty well because, it's funny how you do remember situations like that. The most difficult part was the technological things were different because in the 70s, obviously, you used a lot of analog desks and tube compressors and all that stuff, and nowadays they have different equipment, so I was having to drag in old-fashioned equipment to try and get the right sound.
See, it's funny because I did listen to 1 or 2 tracks from that compilation you're talking about, and it is so authentic. The only difference being is that it's much cleaner than it was on the original track, and actually I like that because I think Marmalade did a similar thing where they remixed a few of the tracks, and you can actually hear that cowbell much cleaner than you could before, so they actually sound better, don't they, Chris?
Well, I hope so, but I'm glad you say that you like the sound of them, but I hope that's what happens anyway. But I was pleased with the album the way it turned out.
It did, and I must say I've heard 3 or 4 of the tracks, and they're superb. People should go out and buy that because it does kind of showcase the stuff you did and the stuff you're doing now. So it is a good compilation to have in your collection, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So what's happening now then, Chris? I mean, you're still sort of doing the concert stuff. Are you still busy with that?
Yeah, I've got a band which I try and keep working as much as possible because obviously they want to be doing stuff. And if you don't work when you've got a band like that, it's not like when you're a part of a band that you're all together. If you've got a band, they need to work, and if they don't, they end up working with somebody else, and then you come to do a gig and they're not available anymore.
Sure.
So I have to keep working to keep that going.
Yeah.
And I do tours, like I say, I do tours of all kinds of places. I've been to Russia recently, which has been great. And I did a tour there, which was about 17 or 18 shows all over Russia.
Wow.
Which, apart from the traveling, which was a bit difficult, but the rest of it was great, and the audiences are great. So I do stuff like that, and I play around Europe, and as I say, I'll be doing a new concert tour next year. I think I'm coming into the UK, going to the UK in February, March area. And then later on into Germany and Scandinavia, so I'm just keep working and I keep writing. I'm also producing I've got 3 children who are grown up. They're all in the early 20s.
Right.
And they've got a band together, which they're very good. And so I've been working with them in the studio as well. So I'm keeping busy with music.
Does it ever surprise you, Chris, sometimes when you go somewhere like Russia or wherever? I was recently in Thailand, and we were in the shopping centre in the middle of Bangkok, and your stuff was coming over the sound system there. And do you ever get surprised yourself sometimes when you're somewhere and you hear it and you think, blimey, you know, they even know of us here, you know?
Yeah, it's strange sometimes. That does happen, and you think, my God, I didn't know they even knew we were.
That's right.
You know, I mean, I went a few years ago. I went to Mongolia to do a concert.
Right.
To do 2 concerts, actually, in a football stadium, and we had like 35,000 people each night.
Good gracious.
And when we arrived at the airport, it was like, you know, this was just me with my band. You know, when we arrived, it was like
the Beatles.
Yeah, like Beatlemania. There were people, there was crowds of people, and I thought, this is Mongolia.
That's
you know?
right, yeah.
Who would have known? And certainly in the 70s, I had no idea that people knew of Smokey in places like Russia and Kazakhstan and those kind of. I would have thought that they had no idea about us at all. But when you get there, suddenly it's like, oh my God, we had all your records.
Yeah.
Well, we used to tape each other's stuff and all that. You know, so it's great.
It's fantastic. So, I mean, if where do you see yourself going now? I mean, there must be a time when you're going to hang your guitar and your microphone up, or do you think you're going to go on until you're like?
Well, you know, when I was younger, I have an interview that some people keep bringing back up to me. We did a documentary one time, a film with Smokey, and when I was about 28, 29 years old.
Yeah.
And they asked me what I was going to do when I got older, and I said to them, there's no way I'm going to be still playing and performing when I'm, say, really old, like 56. Well, now I'm 59, you know. And I said, so I'll probably be writing or producing or something like that. But actually, now that I am that kind of age, I enjoy it more than I ever did, because I guess I know what I'm doing a bit more. And it just runs a bit more smoothly, and I love the audience thing. There's no better drug than the feeling of getting an audience reaction, you know.
Sure.
So I love it, and so I've decided as I've got older that it's what I do, it's what I enjoy doing, and as long as I'm healthy, touch wood, and I can keep going,
you're going to do it.
I will. And, you know, I look at people like Johnny Cash and the likes who went on and pretty much until they died, and I think that wouldn't be a bad way. You know?
It's funny because you know, I was a muso for a while, and I mean I gave it up because I was just fed up of lugging speakers and amps around, you know. And there comes a time when you have to stop, you know. But I guess in your position where you know, you've got roadies and people to set it up, I guess you know, it's not such a strain, is it, that you're able to go on and just perform and then go home afterwards? No,
that's right. I mean, I'm in a lucky position for that, you know, that we've got a road crew and a production team and a tour manager, and when we go on the road, there's like 12 people going, you know, so all I have to do is get on the plane or the bus or whatever it is and get there and do the gig, and that's it. I mean, obviously there's a lot of travelling involved, and that's the worst thing.
Sure.
Sometimes, you know, if you sit in a coach or whatever it is for 4 or 5 hours or longer, that can get you down, and, you know, not getting enough sleep at my age, you need it, you know, but as long as you pace yourself and look after yourself, and I'm still pretty energetic, and when I'm on stage, I can still rock and roll, you know, so as you say, it's harder if you're lugging your own gear about, but I don't have to do that, thankfully. So yeah, it's a great life still, and I love it, and I come back home in between, and it's just a nice way of making a living. Yeah,
sure. Do you find are you struggling with the high notes now, or have you had to pitch the keys down a couple, or you're still in the pretty much in the
No, I'm still my voice, again, touch wood, is still pretty good, and it's still holding up, and in fact I find that I can get things that I didn't used to sometimes. You know, I used to lose my voice a lot in the 70s. I don't know whether it was because I was using it wrongly or what, I don't know, but I used to be often suffering with problems with my voice, and I don't now so much. You know, I'm pretty much okay. So hopefully that continues, and I can just keep going, you know.
Yeah, well, I guess you've probably run it in now, haven't you?
Yeah, I think so by now. So I keep doing it before it runs out.
Well done, Chris, and wish you the best for the future. And, of course, people should go out and listen more to your stuff because, you know, people perhaps think that it was all over when Smokey kind of, you know, finished. But it isn't for you. And, you know, your voice is the trademark of that sound is certainly unique. And nice to know that the voice is still fit and healthy, and I'm sure you'll go on for years to come. And
thank you very much.
We're gonna play more of your stuff here on Central for sure. Now I've heard the album you were talking about, the compilation is superb, and we're going to feature that over the next couple of weeks and get people to go out and buy the damn thing.
Great, thanks, Tony.
Okay, well, by the way, do you see yourself coming to Spain at any time to do any concerts on the Costa del Sol?
I'd love to, but I don't know whether my agent and management have any contacts out there, or whether I don't very often come out there. I was out there doing some TV shows last year.
Yeah.
But I actually haven't done a concert in that area, but I'd love to if there was the right opportunity came around. It'd be great.
Okay, maybe we can get your management in touch with the promoters at this end and organise something. That'd be good.
And then I can come in and see you.
Yeah, that'd be good. We look forward to that.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, thanks for the chat, and we're going to play some of your stuff now.
Thanks, Tony.
Okay, have a nice day. Bye-bye then. Bye-bye.